I was up late reading a webcomic, totally engrossed and blushing at all the good parts, when I hit the last chapter and saw the author had announced an indefinite hiatus. Refusing to give up, I slid into the author's DMs to beg. Please, I'm desperate. Just a few more crumbs of content? Anything to get me through. The author seemed genuinely upset and explained, I'm sorry, but the comic was inspired by my wife. But she's been so cold to me lately, and she keeps bringing up another guy's name. It's making me realize where I stand. I'm terrified she's going to divorce me. I'm so depressed I can't even pick up a stylus. Determined to save my favorite ship, I decided to take matters into my own hands. What a coincidence. I'm actually a top-notch relationship counselor. I specialize in marital problems. Why don't you add me on WhatsApp? I can give you a few pointers. He got super excited and immediately sent me his contact info. I typed it in. Holy crap. Wasn't this my standoffish husband? The one I married on a whim with the agreement that we'd stay out of each other's lives and keep our distance? Turns out I was the cold wife who was ignoring him. But I was just sticking to our agreement. Still, for the sake of the comic, that night I went and knocked on his bedroom door across the hall. I asked tentatively, I'm suddenly feeling really cold. Could you come warm up my bed for me? The man, trying to act cool, froze. The tips of his ears turned bright red. I got home from work. Leo had already made dinner. When I opened the door, he had his back to me, untying his apron. Broad shoulders, narrow waist. He definitely gave off some serious husband vibes. I snuck a quick glance, then quietly clutched my purse and headed for my bedroom. He might have looked like a snack, but none of it was for me. Because before we got married, this guy and I had agreed, we wouldn't bother each other, we'd keep our distance, and we'd live our own separate lives. I'd barely taken a few steps when my husband cleared his throat in the living room. You've been getting home pretty late recently, he said. Have you eaten? I tilted my head and replied with a smile, just working overtime. Haven't eaten yet, I'll order something in a bit. Did I disturb you coming back this late? Not at all. I'd been pulling long hours lately and was already physically and mentally exhausted. On top of that, finding out last night that my favorite webcomic author was going on hiatus. I felt completely drained the second I got off work. I was in no mood to deal with this aloof guy. I put on a fake smile and was about to head to my room when Leo called out to me again. Hey. Why don't you join me? I accidentally made too much, and I can't finish it all myself. I raised an eyebrow in surprise, but before I could say anything, he got all flustered. Don't get the wrong idea. I really did just make too much food. I know. It's not like we're a real couple. I won't read too much into it. There were 4 or 5 dishes on the table, including my favorite spicy fish tofu stir-fry. Since he'd made the offer, I wasn't going to be polite. As soon as I sat down, a pair of long, slender hands reached out. My gaze traveled up, and I saw his beautiful, almond-shaped eyes. Let me get you some soup. Oh, thanks. You don't have to. In the 3 months we'd been married, I think this was the first time we'd ever eaten at the same table. This guy was actually an amazing cook. I kept my head down, picking at the rice in my bowl, my mind flashing back to the awkward memory of when I first asked him to marry me. 6 months ago, my family was pressuring me to get married. They introduced me to this short, overweight guy, saying he'd pay a $30,000 dowry, and they were desperate for me to move back to my hometown. I was scared to death. Just then, I overheard my boss talking to a friend, consoling him about his own family's marriage pressure. On impulse, I boldly asked about his friend. The first time I met Leo, I blushed like an idiot. I just hadn't expected him to be so handsome. He was 6 feet 1 inch, with a high, straight nose, and his skin seemed to glow under the lights. He gave me a quick, expressionless glance that instantly made me shy. Leo laid out 3 rules for me from the start. We only had to pretend in front of our parents. He was a busy STEM guy, wasn't interested in marriage, and wanted me to stay out of his personal life. Later, when he found out my lease was up, he magnanimously offered to let me move in with him, rent-free. For the first month, I tried to show my gratitude by constantly trying to please him, looking for any opportunity to make small talk. But Leo thought I had a crush on him or something and would frown whenever he saw me. Eventually, he told me bluntly, "Helen, if you cross the line again, we'll have to terminate our agreement." I was so scared I immediately apologized. Okay, Leo. I'll never try to talk to you again." I ate the rest of the meal cautiously, afraid to make the slightest noise. In the middle of dinner, my phone rang. I quickly ran out to the balcony to answer it. It was my new boss, pushing me to speed up my work. When I got back to the table, I was in an even worse mood. Thinking about how my favorite comic would never be updated again, how my main source of comfort was gone, I felt like there was nothing to look forward to anymore. Suddenly, my nose started to sting, and my throat felt tight, like I'd swallowed lemon juice. Right there in front of Leo, I choked back a sob. "Helen, what's wrong?" My crying startled him. He quickly got up, sat down right next to me, and handed me a tissue. After a couple of sniffles, I asked in a small voice, my eyes red, "Can I talk to you about it? Or would you just find me annoying?" "Of course not. Go ahead." Leo probably remembered his previous warning to me. He blinked, looking a little embarrassed, and avoided my gaze, rubbing his thumb against his fingers. Once I had his permission, I took a deep breath. "It's that bastard at work, Kevin. Do you have any idea what a jerk he is? He's always calling me into his office, and he doesn't even leave me alone after hours. He calls me even after I'm home. The first thing I do when I open my eyes every day is report to him. I swear, I wish he'd just spend some time with his wife and kids instead of being such a workaholic, but he says he's single." I was crying my eyes out, completely missing the dark look that was slowly creeping over Leo's face. "Is he young?" the man asked, a seemingly random question. Wiping my tears, I mumbled, "Yeah, not even 30 yet." "Younger than me?" I froze, my words catching in my throat. I couldn't answer that. I didn't know how old Leo was. I'd forgotten to look when we got our marriage license. Based on looks alone, though, Leo was definitely younger. Seeing that I wasn't answering, he prompted me, "I'm 26 and a half. "Then he's older than you." "He just turned 29, I blurted out. My work buddy and I gossiped about the new boss nonstop at the company team building event yesterday, so I knew all the details. Leo didn't reply, just stared at me quietly. The air suddenly felt a little awkward. "No, I didn't mean you're old. I meant he's old, and a pain in the ass. My boss is just a demanding old man." "You're young, heh." I immediately tried to backtrack, but it was no use. The man lowered his eyes, his tone turning indifferent again, just like when we first met. "I'm tired. Going to bed. Leave the dishes, I'll wash them in the morning. Good night." It was barely past 8 o'clock. Leo was clearly mad about what I'd said. "Oh, okay. Good night." My mouth is so stupid. I killed the conversation again. Back in my room, I opened Leo's profile in my messaging app, hesitated for a long time, wanting to praise his cooking and thank him, but after typing a few lines, it just felt awkward, so I deleted everything. Whatever. We just have a business arrangement, we're not a real couple. No need to make things so weird. It's better to keep our interactions to a minimum. I thought I'd be able to fall asleep early after such a long day. But out of habit, I still clicked on the webcomic that hadn't been updated in 3 days. There were no new chapters, so I reread it from the beginning. I realized after finishing that I loved it even more. The male lead in this comic was basically a master manipulator reincarnated, always using tricks to seduce the female lead. But the female lead was incredibly dense and had no idea he was into her. And the next chapter was set up perfectly for the male lead to trick the female lead into confessing her feelings for him. At 1 in the morning, I was back in the comments section, crying and complaining. The comments were flooded with a stream of "I can't die like this." After venting in the comments, I clicked on the author's profile and sent a DM. "Please, I'm begging you. A little more content? Just a morsel? I'm starving. I'll give you half my salary, just please come back. Will we ever see you again? Please don't leave me." I was halfway through my frantic messages when he suddenly replied. "I'm sorry. For personal reasons, I really can't continue writing." I was shocked. I honestly didn't expect the author to be online at 3 in the morning. "OMG, you're still awake. What's wrong? Tell me, what's bothering you and getting in the way of your work?" 5 minutes later, he actually opened up to me. To be honest, this comic was inspired by my wife, but she's been getting colder and colder toward me lately. Not only that, but she keeps mentioning another man's name. I'm in a lot of pain. You probably can't understand. This pain makes it impossible for me to pick up my stylus. Every time I look at my work, I feel like I'm just lying to myself. My wife doesn't love me. Maybe she never even liked me at all. After reading that, I felt like I'd just been served some piping hot tea. My God, what a sad sack husband. The author of such a sappy, romantic comic was a guy? And apparently, a super devoted, lovesick puppy dog? It's true what they say, art imitates life. My brain started spinning. This wasn't the time for gossip. How could I console this guy who thought his wife was about to leave him and get him to start drawing again? My hands were still trembling as I typed. Come on, brain, think. Think. I have to get him to keep drawing. I can't live without my comfort content. My emotional support webcomic. Oh, wait. Didn't I have that 1 year of experience as a community mediator? I spent all day mediating petty disputes in my neighborhood, mostly arguments between couples. The truth is, with married couples, as long as one person is shamelessly persistent, it's hard for them to completely cut ties. And based on this lovesick guy's story, his level of persistence was probably way beyond your average simp. That made things even easier. Relationship problems? That's my jam. I used to be the star mediator in my community. Hey, this app censors a lot of words, so it's hard to talk freely. Let me add you on WhatsApp, and we can talk in detail. I'll do everything I can to help you win back your disappointed wife and make sure you don't end up a desperate husband. After nervously sending the invitation, the male author sent me his contact info without a moment's hesitation. Really? Thank you so much. But the weird thing was, when I entered the number, it showed that I'd already added this person as a contact. I took another look. Hey, isn't this Leo's account? I searched 5 times, and the same account came up every time. The smile froze on my face. Sir, did you maybe type the number wrong? No, my profile picture is a white Samoyed. I stared at the white Samoyed on the screen, and for a second, I felt all the wrinkles in my brain smooth out. Heh. My fake husband, who I barely know, and my favorite comic author used the same WhatsApp account. You've got to be kidding me. Can you please give the phone back to the author? I buried my face in my blanket and let out a silent scream. Oh my God, what kind of joke is this? That poker-faced guy secretly draws romance comics? And the inspiration is his wife. Is that me? Could it be me? Legally speaking, I am his wife. But Leo avoids me like the plague. How could I possibly be the heartless, cheating wife he's talking about? Besides, I haven't cheated. After a long internal struggle, I still couldn't give up on the comic. So I created a burner account and sent him a friend request. Now that I knew who he really was, all my earlier enthusiasm vanished. I couldn't even bring myself to call him sir anymore. Luckily, Leo spoke first. But he started off by sending me a whole novel. He told me everything, from the first time he met his wife to the last good night he said to her before bed tonight. My eyes started to hurt. I couldn't help but interrupt him. Wait, you said your wife keeps mentioning other men. How does she bring them up? A few minutes later, a long tirade arrived. I noticed she's been coming home late from work these past few days, so I asked her why. She told me very coldly that she was working overtime, but just a few minutes later, that man called her. She didn't answer in front of me. She went to the balcony. I listened carefully, and I heard her laughing. She was laughing while talking to that man. She said he was her new boss, but her expression seemed off. When I asked his age, she answered 29 without hesitation. She knows her new boss's age perfectly well, but she doesn't know mine, and we've been married for months. I was dumbfounded. Wow, what a masterful piece of slander. I wanted to strangle Kevin and kick his head into a department store, but in Leo's eyes, this was our relationship. Is it possible you misunderstood? Maybe he's just a ruthless boss who exploits his employees. It's normal to know his age coworkers chat about that stuff all the time. My defense was weak. Leo went full contrarian on me. Then why doesn't she know mine? I'm not even a topic of her casual chats. I was speechless. I just could not understand this guy's logic. He was the one who warned me not to get close and to respect his boundaries, but now that I'm keeping my distance, he thinks I'm having an affair. If you're really that suspicious, why don't you try waiting for her after work a few times to pick her up? That would be convenient for me, too. I wouldn't have to take the subway. And, if I may be so bold, were you and your wife really that close before? Because from what you've said, it sounds like you say goodnight and then go to your separate rooms. Based on the novel he'd sent me earlier, I really didn't feel like he was talking about me. The is typing. Bubble appeared at the top of the chat. But I was about to fall asleep, and he still hadn't replied. The next time I opened my eyes, my alarm was going off. Leo never answered my question from last night. Instead, he coldly sent me a $500 consulting fee. And just like that, I smelled a business opportunity. When I got to the office, I ran right into my boss. My lips twitched into a pained smile. I had completely lost control of my facial expressions. Kevin frowned and touched the side of his face. Is there something on my face? Oh, no. I forced a smile. I was just zoning out. I didn't see you there, boss. The man tugged at his suit and uncomfortably unfastened a cufflink. Come to my office in a bit to report on your work progress. Is he serious? Didn't I just report to him last night? Does this guy have dementia? I rolled my eyes internally but remained perfectly respectful on the outside. When I got back to my desk, before I could even sit down, my coworker, Sarah, grabbed my office chair and pulled me over to her desk, looking thrilled. Helen, I have some major tea. But I can't confirm it's true, because it's a little out there. I heard Kevin is getting transferred. I was overjoyed. What's so out there about that? I'm sure it's true. This was news I would gladly kneel to receive. Sarah shushed me nervously. Hey, I'm not done. Do you know how crazy the reason for the transfer is? Apparently, he requested the transfer because he has a crush on someone in our department, and you know office romances are against the rules. Oof, yeah, that does sound pretty far-fetched. But even if it's true, it's not like the girl would necessarily like him back. No need to go to such lengths to avoid awkwardness, right? Sarah shook her head vigorously. No. You definitely have to. You see each other every day here. It would be even more humiliating to get rejected. That's true. He'd have to leave one way or another if he confessed. Well, in that case, I hope this tea is piping hot and true. Please, let some saint come and get rid of this menace. Before I went to report to Kevin, Leo sent me a message. He said he just happened to be in the area and would pick me up after work. The excuse was a bit flimsy. But it looked like he was actually going to take my advice. Maybe the comic would start updating again soon. I knocked on his office door, beaming, having completely forgotten to school my expression. What are you so happy about? Kevin glanced at me. I immediately wiped the smile off my face and took out my files. Just as I was about to turn on the monitor to start my presentation, he stopped me. Wait, don't. I heard it all last night. Then why did he call me in here? To mop the floors? I stood there in a daze. Before I could process anything, a horrifying sentence hit my ears. I have something important to discuss with you. I've already made a reservation at a restaurant, just the two of us. What the hell? There was no way I was having dinner alone with this guy. Huh? What important thing? Are you firing me? Of course not, Helen. I just wanted to ask you to dinner, as someone who's interested in you. Kevin stood up, his expression serious. It was like being struck by lightning. I nearly fainted. Oh, the irony. Turns out I was the saint. I bolted out the door without a second thought, but before I could even reach the building's entrance, Kevin stuck to me like glue as he chased after me. Helen, wait a second. I'm serious. Just give me a chance. A chance for what? Boss, has your job finally made you hallucinate? No. Over the past month of working with you, I've realized that I really like. Shut up. Don't say it. Before Kevin could finish, I clapped a hand over his mouth. In the middle of our struggle, a short honk came from behind us. I turned my head and, through the windshield, my eyes met Leo's. I instantly let go. A strange wave of guilt washed over me. Hey, this isn't how it's supposed to go. Who's that? Do you know him? Kevin asked, turning his head. I remembered our agreement to keep the marriage a secret. Just as the word friend was about to leave my lips, I heard a clear male voice answer. I'm her husband. Leo got out of the car. He had clearly heard our entire conversation. I watched in shock as he naturally took my hand and intertwined his fingers with mine. Hello. You must be the boss who's always making Helen work late. Huh? You're her husband? I didn't hear that Helen was married. She's not wearing a wedding ring. Oh, it was love at first sight. A real whirlwind romance. We were actually planning to get the rings a few days ago, but you kept making my wife work overtime. That's what caused the delay, you see. Leo still had his cool expression and detached tone, but somehow, he didn't seem like his usual self. I stood there between the two men, frozen like a statue. Kevin was at a loss for words. In the end, he just mumbled an awkward goodbye, and I wasn't doing much better. My skin was crawling the whole way home. The car was so quiet I could hear my own breathing. It was as if I really was the cheating wife. But that wasn't right. We weren't a real couple, so why was the atmosphere so bizarre? Thanks for the save back there. I can't believe he'd actually develop a crush on an employee at his dead-end job. He's probably the type who had a crush on his gym teacher in high school. I kept my head down, picking at the rhinestones on my nails as I joked. Leo ran with it. Totally. He looks like the cheap type, always throwing himself at people. I froze for a second, thinking I'd misheard him. I mean, what kind of normal person develops a crush on the boss who exploits them? He didn't think this through before confessing. Did he think this was some kind of SM fantasy? Leo explained with a perfectly straight face. I was even more shocked. I'd always thought his quietness meant he was just some awkward, aloof STEM guy. I had no idea he could be so sharp-tongued. Then again, you could kind of see it in his comics plot. The guy was full of contradictions. If the male lead was based on him, that is. Our brief chat did nothing to ease the tension. I leaned against the window and pretended to sleep. In the blink of an eye, the car pulled up in front of a jewelry store. Helen, I think you can tell me when you're in trouble from now on. I opened my eyes to find a handsome face magnified and extremely close to mine. Leo was looking at me very seriously. His eyelashes were like tiny fans, dense and long, and they trembled slightly. My breathing grew shallow. I was so mesmerized that my hearing started to fail me. I misheard him. What? Like today. That guy was harassing you. You can tell me sooner. I can help you figure something out. Oh, him. Actually, I had no idea before. He just suddenly said all that today. If I had known, I definitely wouldn't have let Leo pick me up. His suspicious streak was already bad enough. Now he'd probably secretly sworn off updating that comic for the rest of his life. So, just to be safe, we really do need a pair of wedding rings. Leo pulled me by the hand into the jewelry store. I was still in a daze when the sparkling diamond ring was on my finger. Leo asked me if I liked it. I nodded. $20,000, just like that. He paid for it in an instant. Are you sure you don't want me to chip in? I asked cautiously after we got home, grabbing the corner of his shirt. Not that I was actually planning to. Spending 2 years' worth of savings from a crappy job on a ring just wasn't worth it. No need. But you do need to take a picture and post it on your social feed. Leo held out his left hand, his eyes crinkling into a smile. Actually, let's take a picture together. It'll help ward off any unwanted admirers. He was smiling so genuinely, but I knew exactly what his real goal was. So, on a whim, I asked. You're secretly in love with me, aren't you? You broke our contract, didn't you? He broke the contract, but his pride wouldn't let him admit it. For example, I suggested he pick me up, but he insisted he was just in the area. His plan was to use all sorts of tricks to reel me in, so that once I fell for him and confessed, he could act all calm and collected, just like when we first met, and magnanimously grant me the chance to date him. Of course, this wasn't just my own speculation. That was the male lead strategy in his comic. The man stared at me, stunned, his lips slightly parted. I could clearly sense his nervousness. Before he could speak, I burst out laughing. Just messing with you. Why would you ever like me? Thanks for the ring. I'll take good care of it, and when our contract is up, I'll return it to you in perfect condition. Back in my room, I switched to my burner account and asked him how things went today. He sent me the picture of our hands with the wedding rings from my social feed. Not bad. That should scare the guy off. So, any ideas for your comic yet? None at all. Because I don't think she likes me at all. I couldn't expose him, so I had to play dumb. Oh, maybe it's because you don't spend enough time together? You and your wife are both working professionals, right? You probably don't go on many dates. And you sleep in separate rooms. It's definitely hard to grow closer that way. You should try to find more opportunities to spend time together. Getting him to update a comic was so much work. Fine. If he wanted to reel me in, let him try. I was ready to take the bait. When Leo mentioned his company was offering a paid trip where he could bring a guest, I wasn't surprised at all, but I pretended to be excited and started packing. The destination was a coastal city. We did a ton of research and planning beforehand but completely forgot to check the weather forecast. After we landed, a Category 3 hurricane hit. The hotel windows were thick, but we could still clearly hear the wind howling outside. I'd been stuck in the hotel for 2 full days, completely unable to go out. I was so bored enough to go crazy. What was Leo's deal? Wasn't he trying to reel me in? Why wasn't he doing anything? Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. I ran downstairs, bought 2 bottles of hard cider, and knocked on the door to the room next to mine. The man opened the door with wet hair, a damp patch on the collar of his white t-shirt. He had just been in the shower. "What's up, Helen?" he asked, playing dumb again. Keep acting, I thought. Go on. I'm so bored. We can't go out, so let's play truth or dare. We roll the dice. The dare is to drink. If you can't drink, you have to tell the truth. I sat on the tatami mat and placed the dice in the center. My plan was to get 2 drinks in, then pretend to be dizzy. Then, no matter what he asked, my only answer would be that I liked him. That should work, right? However, my luck tonight was too good. We played 5 rounds, and I won all 5. Leo just kept drinking silently, his fair complexion already flushed. You don't usually drink much, do you? Rarely. I don't like alcohol. On the 6th round, I put my hand on the bottle. Don't drink this time. Choose truth. I hadn't had a single drop yet. He'd better not get drunk before I did. No, I choose to drink. I don't want to do truth, no way. I was sure of it now. Leo was drunk, and not just a little. He dazedly brought my hand, the one blocking the bottle, to his lips as if it were a cup. Hey, that's not it. I panicked, but I couldn't pull my hand back. Then, I felt a moist sensation on the back of my hand. A few gentle kisses. I stared blankly at Leo. He was still holding my hand like it was some priceless treasure. Leo, you're drunk. No, I'm not drunk. The man mumbled. I was about to get up and leave, but he was completely wasted. Not only was he clinging to my hand, but he was also nuzzling his face into my palm. I saw his dimples appear again, along with a smile that was clearly meant to charm me. My breath hitched. This was bad. A classic honey trap. I was afraid I was really about to take the bait. Leo, who am I? Helen. My wife. No, I'm not your wife. We're fake, you and I. You told me not to get close to you. I can't break our agreement, remember? The man knelt on the tatami mat, his eyes as innocent as a child's, and he tugged tightly on my sleeve. No, it's real. Don't lie to me. You signed a contract with me. Look, I even took a picture. It's right here in black and white. Why would I lie to you? I found this amusing and suddenly wanted to tease him. The man leaned in, staring intently at my phone. After he made out the words, he started acting petulant. What's this? My head is spinning, I can't see. Hey, you're just being a baby. You're the one who didn't stick to the contract, and now you're trying to blame me. I'm not playing with you anymore. I slipped on my slippers and pretended to leave. The man behind me immediately cried out, his voice cracking. Don't go. Helen, don't go. Leo was so drunk that the corners of his eyes were red. I thought it was an allergic reaction to the alcohol, but as soon as I touched the corner of his eye, a tear rolled down. Oh dear, now he's crying. Sob. I don't want that contract anymore. If I had known living with you would be this happy, I would have dated you first before we got married. I don't want to be a fake husband. The hurricane still roared outside, but the man in my arms finally stopped his choked sobs. When Leo sobered up, he'd completely forgotten what happened last night. All he remembered was talking to me and then suddenly falling asleep. What's wrong? Did I say something I shouldn't have? He asked on the way back, nearly squirming in his seat as I kept staring at him. I shook my head. No. You're a pretty good drinker, but you shouldn't drink alone from now on. Sigh. I was planning to use last night as my chance to take the bait, but he ended up laying all his cards on the table himself. After the trip, it was back to work. The boss who confessed to me had been transferred. The new one was a woman in her 30s who was quiet and low maintenance. Finally, some peace. I was slacking off at my desk, about to switch to my burner account to ask Leo if he had any plans to update his comic. Before I could switch accounts, Sarah called me to go to the restroom with her. When I got back, I forgot what I was doing and sent a completely out of the blue message from my main account. Sir, have you had any motivation to update the comic lately? Didn't you say she even asked you to play a game with her? She must have feelings for you to do that. By the time I realized my mistake, it was too late to unsend the message. 5 minutes later, I sent another message. My account was hacked. Don't worry about picking me up later, I'm eating out with a coworker. The noodle shop was about to close by the time I finally dragged myself out to go home. As I approached our apartment building, I still felt a sense of dread. As embarrassing as it was for his identity to be revealed, it was even more cringe-worthy that I, a reader, had posed as a counselor to give him terrible advice, which led to this whole mess. It was 10 o'clock, and Leo was still sitting in the living room. He was usually in his bedroom by 9. I closed the door softly, unsure of what to say, so I said nothing at all. "You're back." I straightened my posture, trying to look as relaxed as possible. "Yeah. Why are you still up?" "I was waiting for you." Leo's tone was calm, but I had a feeling he was furious and at his wit's end. Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hide it," I mumbled, looking down. The man stood up and walked quickly toward me, his breathing growing rapid. I thought he was going to yell at me. But when I looked up, he shoved a photo in my face. "You'd rather eat out with him than come home and eat the food I made, right?" In the photo, I was laughing my head off with Sarah. "Wait, no, Sarah is..." Before I could finish, Leo impatiently cut me off. I've always known that our relationship was just a transaction. I tried so hard to maintain my distance, but I still couldn't control myself. "That comic I draw. Does it seem pathetic to you?" "It's all just a fantasy I made up, completely different from reality." "But Helen, why would you sit with another man and laugh at me? And show him my comic? It's really humiliating." I was completely bewildered. First of all, I wasn't with another man, and second, I wasn't making fun of his comic. I was having dinner with Sarah, and we started talking about comics we'd been reading recently, so I recommended his to her. "No, listen, let me explain." "I don't want to hear it. I'm just a joke to you anyway. I'm never going to draw again. I'm going to take it all down and delete it right now." When I heard he was going to delete it, I panicked. "Leo, I like you. You're not allowed to delete my comic." The man turned back. "Really? It's true. And how is Sarah a man?" "She's a girl. She just has short hair." Since things had already come to this, I might as well demand an update on the spot. "I really do love your comic. I had no idea you were the author beforehand. Before, my feelings for you were strictly business. I saw you as my benefactor. But later, I realized. You're really good looking. Handsome, can draw, and a great cook." He actually had a lot of good qualities. His alcohol tolerance was just a little low. "I feel like my feelings for you are completely different now." Leo's eyes were shining, as if he was waiting for me to say more. "So, can you please not put it on hiatus? I'm begging you." The man turned and walked away. And locked his door from the inside. Did I kill the conversation again? When I opened the app again to see if the comic had been taken down, a notification in the comments section caught my eye. "To all my readers, starting tomorrow, I'll be resuming free daily updates. See you every night at 9 p.m. I was too excited to sleep, tossing and turning in bed. I clicked on Leo's profile picture and sent him a sticker. "You up, handsome?" He replied instantly. "Me, it's suddenly kind of cold tonight." "Are you cold?" "I'm okay." "Is your blanket too thin?" "Me, I'm a little cold. Can you come over and warm up my bed?" After sending it, I shyly tossed my phone aside and burrowed under the covers. When I looked up again, Leo was already standing awkwardly by my bed. "So, which side should I sleep on?" A year later, the romance comic ended. I still couldn't get enough, so I pestered the great artist into drawing a ton of bonus chapters. Sweet, sweet content. It's delicious. Sometimes, Leo would ask me, if it wasn't for that comic, would you have ever fallen in love with me? I thought about it. I still would have. Because you're great at making both kinds of food. It would have just been a matter of time. Coming home exhausted after a long day of work to a handsome husband who's already made dinner. I think even a heart of stone couldn't help but fall for that.